everybody. Thank you for joining me. My name is Bradley Shaw, and tonight on Between the Covers, I'm talking to Dr. Roy Hardman and Dr. Melissa Formica, the authors of my brain. What is that? My Brain is My Best Friend, which is a fantastic book, a children's book, coming out in November. So please, Dr. Roy, if you would, please give us your interpretation of this book, the readers, or what they would expect.
Well, it's a book looking at some simplified neuroscience for children to help them encourage looking at their brain development, and by looking at nutrition as a major part in their brain and their thinking development. Mel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a really good basis and a sort of a stepping stone for children to start thinking about things that might be important for their brain and their health later on. So it's really sort of pitched at a really basic level and just sort of to build on that throughout their life then. Yeah.
Good. And if I can ask on that topic, or on that ideal, what was the incubus for this book? Both of you are so qualified and experienced in your fields. What made you want to write this children's book? So, Roy, would you like to start? Sorry.
Oh, okay. I always like to. I looked at it on the basis that with the pandemic approaching us in overweightness, dementia, the health burden that we're experiencing now, and if you look at it over the next 10 to 20 or 30 years, the cost of incurring that in our society is becoming unmanageable. The government is extremely worried. And with everything else, unless we actually start at the ground roots level and encourage children to look at and question what they're being eaten, what their parents might be giving them, because dementia is not something that starts in old age. Dementia starts in your 40s. So the mind is basically restructuring itself all its life. And when I looked at that, and we've both done very good presentations on this to audiences, and we look at that and we go, well, if we're not starting at grassroots, then by the time those children in 30 years' time who are reading this, they're going to be in their late 30s, early 40s. Yeah. And they are not going down the track of consuming the right things to actually improve their brains.
Yeah.
Mel?
Yeah, and I think along sort of a similar line, particularly with the area that I'm involved with currently, psychology of developing habits and how hard habits can become to change. Thinking about how long it takes to actually develop eating habits and physical activity and things like that, it just made sense to sort of target those early years to develop those healthy habits really early on. And I think that that's constantly overlooked. A lot of the time people think, maybe in their 20s or 30s, that's the time when we sort of think and focus on those things. But as Roy said, it's really grassroots, when they're really young.
Yeah. And how did the two of you come together to work on the project in such a way? You're both experts, I know, and studied, but what brought you together? Roy, how did you meet Melissa, Dr. Formica?
I was completing my doctorate, and Melissa was completing hers at the same time. So she was helping me with structure and development in my thesis, and then I was reading her work, and then we participated in some international writing for textbooks around the world, which we've now got 2 major chapters in 2 textbooks in the US and also in the UK. So when I was thinking of it, I was looking at Mel's experience as being a different perspective to mine. And so I said, I rang her and I said, I'm thinking of this. I'll send you a concept idea. What do you think? And that's where it started.
Oh, good. And you liked it straight away, Melissa? You thought it was a great concept and wanted to be involved, obviously?
Absolutely, yeah. It was sort of the first thing that I could sort of think of outside me working on a thesis or whatever. Yeah. It was sort of getting the work out into the real world. It was making it translatable in some ways. So that really appealed to me. And obviously I really enjoy working with Roy. So it just kind of made sense almost, yeah.
And as you say, getting it out in the real world, I mean, you're both highly intelligent, highly educated in this special field. How was it? Was it difficult to, I guess, null down the information enough for that children's psyche, and also understanding, you know, the general public's, you know, basis of what they're learning, what they need to know about these options they have. Was that difficult, Roy, for you, or was it a challenge?
I started, and then because of what Mel's doing with her psych, it enabled me to bounce more off her, and then she came back with a lot of really good ideas and structural reading. It's very hard at times to enable a non-scientific reader to pick up something and go, that makes a lot of sense. And so that's one of the focuses we really wanted to do, is to say, you don't have to have done science, you don't have to do anything to read this book.
Yeah, no, it's very good. It's very simple. I enjoyed it because I understood it. So tell me, Melissa. Hey.
No, I was going to just ask Mel if she agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. You know, I spend a lot of time working with, you know, patients in the real world, you know, in hospitals and things like that, who have a hard time understanding a lot of the terminology and jargon that doctors throw at them. So I've gotten quite good at trying to explain things in simple terms and, you know, trying to relate to them on that kind of level. So for me, it wasn't particularly so much of a challenge. I think it was just cutting back the detail a little bit.
Yeah, and just thinning it down a little, as you say, just enough to give them the practicalities and not all the scientific, you know, processes. Yeah. So tell me, Melissa, too, did you get children involved in the testing and reading and just sort of seeing their response and understanding? Did you have a chance to do some live readings of the book for, you know, as you were processing the book?
Not directly, I wouldn't say. I think it was mainly just based off, you know, knowledge that I had with working with children anyway. And, you know, obviously my friends have children, and sort of working with them and how they sort of communicate. It was very heavily based off that for me. I'm not sure about you, Roy.
I managed to vet it past some preschool teachers and some young primary school teachers, and teachers who were really from prep through to about grade 5, grade 6, and asking them their opinion. How would they interpret the book? How would they interpret the pictures? And trying to understand, it doesn't matter what we say, it's what do these children see? What do they think? You know, and we, because of that, we also made it such a multicultural picture focus, so that it stretched across everybody, because I was talking to people from all levels of different cultural backgrounds to say, you know, do you understand what we're trying to say? And if they don't read the English well, the pictures will make a good impression.
Absolutely. No, it's really good. And so what was the overall feedback you both found for the book, like for just talking about it or showing concepts and talking to the, as you said, some of those teachers? What was their impression of feedback? Do they feel you've hit a nail on the head, so to speak? Is that the term?
Well, a lot of them come back and said that every kid should read it. Every parent should buy one, so that the child, I mean, children get something put on the table, and they're not going to determine whether it's really good for them or not. You know, and if you're living on fries and takeaway, and that's normal, well, then that's normal. That's your level of understanding. But if you go and look at it and say, well, how is that helping me? And a lot of the research that's been done around Australia with young teenagers is based on just simply changing their diet to making them more socially acceptable. You found that too, Melissa?
Yeah, absolutely. It's even in practice at the moment, you know, a lot of people are quite unaware of the large impact that diet has on all aspects of their health, particularly mental health. And so I think, you know, by communicating this information in a way that they're going to understand, or even just in the case of children, giving them the opportunity to be exposed to that information is really important.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, the book is not just for children, I think, and you hit it before when you said that it's actually a family book. I think it's, if the parents understand the diet they're feeding their children, or they understand the impacts as well, not just children understanding the growing process, but families as conversation. It's a great conversation point in the book. So what do you now hoping, having achieved this wonderful accomplishment, what are you now hoping that those children and those families and parents do take away from this book? For you, Roy, what would be a goal?
My underlying hope would be if the book is read, it's not read just as a story. It's not meant to be just a story. It's a practical guide, a very simple practical guide for a child to say, everybody knows the food groups, everybody knows what that's all about. But it's a practical guide to say for a child to implement what they've read and ask their parents when they're walking around the shops, all that sort of stuff. And we're not against any form of food. What we're saying is we look at how you're consuming it, when you're consuming it. And in a younger brain, many children are inhibited because they're consuming too much of the wrong thing.
Yeah. And it affects everything, doesn't it?
Well, and that's been quite well documented. We're not quoting anything that we have an opinion on. We are very careful on making a statement that is founded on fact. Good.
And for you, Melissa, what do you hope the families and children will gain and experience out of this?
I'm trying to take a fairly realistic and pragmatic approach to this in terms of, look, I don't think that everyone who reads the book is going to have, a life-changing experience and they're going to drastically change their diet and have the most amazing brain health ever. It's more about, as long as the information is out there and a conversation is started, I think it's going to have a bigger effect for some people. And I think that those particular people, they are going to get the benefits of it. And I think that's really important. That's my hope, is that they're going to get something that they're going to take away and use for their benefit. Good.
That's wonderful. And for everybody watching, if I can tell you, the book is available in November. Everywhere books are sold. You can buy it online and in your local bookstores. And we do encourage you to go to your local bookstores. These small businesses need our help as well. And this is a wonderful book for you and your family to share. Dr. Roy and Dr. Melissa, I thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to support you in your goal of bringing this book to the market. And it's great to see that you've achieved this beautiful passion of yours. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And everybody, thanks for watching us. And please grab a copy of this wonderful book. And take care, and we'll see everybody again soon. Thank you.